G'day cocktail lovers. Doing a bit of an experiment today. The Old Fashioned is my all-time favorite cocktail, and you can do so many different things and it's still an Old Fashioned. I thought I'd like to make a really smoky one, and I have a few spirits with smoky profiles. I'm going to see which ones I want to put in here. I've already decided there's going to be a little accent of mezcal. Mezcal's not going to be the main thing, but it is going to be in there. I have 3 whiskies I'm going to choose between. Will I use one of them or a blend, and in what ratio? I have 1 peaty scotch, Talisker 10-year-old, and 2 Australian whiskies, both from Archie Rose. These are both wood smoked. One is with Australian stringy bark, and that is this one. That's this one, and that's a rye malt whiskey. And this is a single malt that's smoked with red gum. Smoke in 4 different ways. I'm going to do a little bit of cross tasting now to decide which ones I want. First, the Talisker scotch. Quite sweet, but with a real punch of peat. Now, someone who's into the really peaty whiskies might go, that's not really peaty. I'm not that much into peat whiskies, and I think that comes through quite strongly. This is the red gum smoked single malt whiskey. It's 53% ABV, so 106 proof. The smoke is a lot less pronounced on here, and there's a rich, almost maple flavour in there. It's definitely got smoke, but doesn't punch quite as much as the Talisker, in my opinion. And finally, the wood smoked rye whiskey. This is 49% ABV. That's the sweetest of the 3. Sort of same level of smoke as the other Archie Rose whiskey, so less than the peated scotch. You know what, just for fun, I'm going to split between the 3 of them. They'll all be in there. And because I want some real smoke punch in here, I'm going to do 2 parts of the scotch to 1 part each of the other whiskies, and half a part mezcal. G'day cocktail lovers. I wanted to make a little bit of an interlude, really a transition, because I ended up making this video over more than one day because I had the bright idea, you know what I want to do with this smoky Old Fashioned? I want to do a milk clarified version of it as well. And then when I came to edit the 2 pieces together, I realized I didn't really explain it in the second half, and the change was too jarring, at least that's what I felt. So that's what this is. Easing you into the second half of the video where I talk about making a milk clarified version of the smoky Old Fashioned and then making a standard one and tasting them side by side. Enjoy! I decided to make a batch of the clarified Old Fashioned, so it's made up of 2 parts of the Talisker 10-year-old single malt, 1 part of the smoked rye whiskey from Archie Rose, 1 part of the smoked single malt from Archie Rose, then half a part of mezcal, and I needed an acidic element, and I used orange juice, and it's 1 part orange juice as well. Also put in a few dashes of Angostura bitters, a few dashes of orange bitters, and a few dashes of chocolate bitters. And also going in there is 1 part of brown sugar syrup. This is all added to milk, and the ratio we want is 4 parts of the cocktail to 1 part of milk. So we add the cocktail to the milk, starts to curdle straight away, we give it a gentle stir, but then set it aside for a couple of hours to get some good separation happening. Then we're going to pour it through a coffee filter, and we want the milk curds to settle to the bottom to really filter the drink. So the first amount that goes through won't be completely clear, so you'll want to put that first bit through again. Otherwise, do the whole lot more than once. And I got a nice result. If this was a urine sample, maybe go see a doctor. There seems to be blood in there. It's nice and clear, much lighter than the default drink. For that acidic element, you could just do an acidic solution that doesn't have any juice in it. So you get the acidity, but not the flavor. But I actually thought orange juice would actually go well with the Old Fashioned flavors, because I always put an orange peel in as a garnish, and I often use orange bitters as well. The proof of whether the orange juice was a good idea will be in the tasting, I guess. So let's get to pouring. I'm also going to do a default fresh Old Fashioned to do a direct comparison. So in a mixing glass, we are putting 1 ounce of Talisker 10-year-old, half an ounce of the wood smoked rye, then half an ounce of the wood smoked single malt from Archie Rose, 1/4 of an ounce of mezcal, and about 10 mils, 1/3 of an ounce of sugar syrup, 1 dash of Angostura bitters, and 1 dash of orange bitters. Adding ice to the glass and stirring that for 20 to 25 seconds to chill and dilute the drink. And then I'm going to do my standard garnishes, a twist of orange peel and a maraschino cherry on a skewer. The clarified one's easier, just pour it over some ice. And of course, to show off the clarification, this is going to be over a big chunk of clear ice. And then the same garnishes, a twist of orange peel and a maraschino cherry on a skewer. The visual difference is exactly what I would expect. The clarified cocktail is clear and much, much lighter. On the nose, it's still noticeably smoky because I've just had all these smoky whiskies out. This whole room smells quite smoky at the moment. This one more so. Now, this taste is going to be more supple, so I'm going to try it first. That's really interesting. The smoke is still there. As is typical for a clarified cocktail, it's lighter. It even feels, to me, a bit thinner because the whiskey old fashioned is one of my favourite drinks. This experiment is much less robust than a standard whiskey old fashioned, which is what I like about whiskey old fashions. But what I like is experimenting, and milk clarification I find endlessly interesting. If you want to know more, there's a playlist. I have a playlist of a whole bunch of clarified cocktails I've done with varying degrees of success. Most of them extremely successful, some not quite as much as others. But if you want to know more about milk clarification, check that out. Meanwhile, I'm left here double fisting. I'm unsupervised and 2 big whiskey drinks. Oh well, tough life I guess. Cheers.